Listen up, Trump tards. When people say black people built the United States, what they are saying is that the foundation of the United States is agroeconomical, heavily reliant on the slave trade, which directly funded and built the eastern coast of the United States, from where a lot of agricultural products were exported. You can name it: cotton, tea, and what have you. Those hold facts regardless of your personal and subjective feelings and opinions about it. Ben Shapiro took up the challenge to debunk the idea that black people built America by giving 3 points. The first, saying that Belgium, Denmark, and other European powers also had slaves. I will put the video in the description box for you to watch. Those powers, European powers, had slaves. Then Trump started commenting that this is facts that liberals can't deal with. Okay, let's deal with it. How does other European powers having slaves have anything to do with whether African Americans built the United States or not? To give a perfect analogy, what has the fact of me having a roof over my head being true in itself got to do with whether my neighbors have a roof over their heads or not? So that really just dismisses the first point he tried to make to debunk the idea. The second point he made is that the founding fathers, one of them, Thomas Jefferson, wanted to outlaw slavery long before other European powers and prevent King George from bringing slaves to the United States. Jefferson wanted to do it, but the South prevented him from doing it. Now, this sort of perfect theory argument I get from communists who say Karl Marx created a perfect theory. If only people carried out his theory properly, then communism would not be oppressive. So if only America carried out Thomas Jefferson's promises, then America would have been a better place for black people. Well, it didn't, and it was oppressive. So that point, even if you were to agree with the credibility of that point, what has it got to do with whether black people built the United States or not? Especially if the question of whether black people built the United States is an economic one and a one of workforce, not one of a cultural or social change in the mindset of the Americans on racism. That's the second point, which dismisses itself with little or no facts. Then the third, he said, is that the North had less slaves than the South, and the North was richer than the South in America. That one is a bit tricky because it is very cleverly worded to claim as though the North and the South developed together, but they didn't develop together. The North was developed way earlier. I'm talking of, say, the early 1700s. The North had major economic and trading activity, or the East, Northeast, and those parts of the United States in itself, built by the agroeconomy, and the South was only being sort of expanded. Louisiana was only bought from France for $15 million in 1803. That's more than 100 years after the North has been established as a major economic hub. So comparing those two economies is a very smart way to introduce subterfuge in your argument, or to make an argument like like a lost American, or someone who's not an American and doesn't know about the history. So that third point in itself just dismisses itself. And then throughout the video, he offers nothing else to debunk the idea that black people built the United States. You can watch the video for yourself and try to come up with a better argument or excuses for it. but you won't find the arguments you're looking for. And I would admit that the best arguments I've heard is one from Jared Taylor that said Germany didn't use the slave trade, and America would have not used the slave trade as well. Well, Germany is a nation or a society of Germanians that have existed since after the fall of the Roman Empire. We're talking about more than 1,000 years before America. So America could wait 1,000 years to develop its own regional economy and resources, or it could do that in less than 100 years using free slave labor to do so. I mean, I just want to leave it there and let people who are actually the seekers of the truth to do their research rather than waiting for Jared Taylor and Ben Shapiro to brainwash you and give you informations with cherry-picked facts to suit their political ideology. Just search for yourself. If the question is whether black people built America, follow the facts for yourself and come to your conclusion rather than relying on the personality cult of Ben Shapiro and others to give you the information you need. I mean, you can't acquiesce in